today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
You can dig up concrete, but you can't erase history. We're not going to be erased. My mother died in 2017. I am so glad that she's not around to see this. Where's the pride in being a U.S. citizen anymore?
I'm here to mourn the destruction of one of our brightest symbols of the black resistance. Trump 1.0 was the resistance. Trump 2.0 is the acquiescence. And to see it destroyed because of capitulating to Donald Trump is beyond insulting.
It was one way of letting us know that our contributions matter, that our black lives will always matter. We just happen to be at a point where there's been a setback. This setback is definitely setting the stage for a remarkable comeback.
In this round, here's Quan LX.
Charles, that was a video and a news story about a number of brothers and sisters in D.C. who are angry that the Trump administration, through Republicans in Congress, kept applying pressure to the city of D.C. to remove the mural of Black Lives Matter that had been installed and built into the concrete of a street of a boulevard. And this was not the first time they had come after them. They came out back in 2020 asking for the same thing, to have it removed. Well, now the Trump administration supported that move and allowed them to make and leverage threats of cutting funds to the city if they did not remove it. So a number of black people in the city were kind of voicing their displeasure and upsetness with it. And I just want to say to my brothers and sisters, painting Black Lives Matter on a boulevard doesn't prove anything to black people. We have the power and the authority to, if we want to put Black Lives Matter signs in every black household's yard, you can do that. If you want to put a Black Lives sign in front of every business, every place that we frequent and patronize, we have the power to do that. But you must remember that though D.C. is predominantly black, black folk don't own D.C. So if the white man wants his concrete back, let him have his concrete back. I'm more concerned that we as black people got to show that black life matters the most to us. We have to prove to the world that black lives are sacred to black people first. And by the way we're destroying each other in the streets of D.C., in the streets of America, by the way we're on social media castrating each other's character, demonizing each other, the way our rappers are promoting self-destructive lifestyles and behavior. We don't need Black Lives Matter on the street. We need Black Lives Matter riveting and vibrating through the hearts and minds of black people. So let them have their street. The hell with their street. Let us show them by coming together in the name of black love and consciousness, black people. The power of us if we do that. Because Trump, I keep saying this, is a businessman. Why don't we show how much Black Lives Matter by withholding black dollars? And then we determine where those dollars go. I guarantee you, they'll come out there and give us anything that we want. They won't be begging for a street then. They'll be begging for us to put our money back into the economy, because without us, it won't work.
Well, I think, again, it seems like you're talking about things that aren't at all on topic.
Because you're not a black man.
I guess, Whitey can't understand
It's a black thing, you won't
anything.
get it.
Well, fortunately, I get one chair on this show. So the Black Lives Matter Plaza there in D.C., over $7 million was spent to paint a road and put a little concrete abutment there in the middle of the road. Money that could have spent on a daycare for children, on housing in an incredibly impoverished city, Washington, D.C. You have so many African Americans that aren't employed by the government, living far below the poverty line, right? But of course, let's look at the Black Lives Matter movement generally, right? The founders of that organization got hundreds of millions of dollars and bought a bunch of mansions that they called affinity centers.
Actually, they got up to $1 billion.
Okay, yeah, tons of money. And then when you talk to the family members of the people whose names that they paraded all over America, and let's exclude George Floyd's family. They had a huge settlement with the state of Minnesota, and they had very effective lawyers, and they got a lot of help from a bunch of different channels too. But we're talking tens of millions of dollars, right? But almost everyone else, right? You talk to the family members of Ahmaud Arbery. You can go just pick a list, right? And they'll say, well, they were using my loved one's name to raise money, but when I called them for help, I didn't hear a word. Okay, we saw an incredible amount. We saw different BLM organizations feuding with each other over donor dollars, over government dollars, right? And what we've seen is no one's having an honest conversation about how the people that led that movement co-opted that movement to make themselves very, very wealthy. We've seen some sporadic indictments, but not much, for the misuse of these funds, right? So while I do think, especially in DC, we need to have a very, very clear commemorative of the protests and the marches, not just
but Black Lives Matter is bigger than a few misunderstood, misled, corrupt.
No, I'm talking about the leaders.
Hold on,
leaders.
Corrupt individual leaders.
Okay,
you with
right.
me?
Right.
Black Lives Matter is a mindset.
Okay.
That's bigger than any organization or any quote unquote leader, male or female. It's a mindset of consciousness. Okay. So now we cannot point out some corruption that may exist in the Black Lives Matter organizational structure.
That may exist.
One second, without pointing out the corruption that exists in the United States government. Look at the billions of dollars we give them, and that corruption is there. But what about the Red Cross? The Red Cross had financial mismanagement and corruption within it. The United Way had CEOs in Vegas buying prostitutes with the money. Charles, the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts had financial mismanagement in their organization. The Catholic Church was pimping young children and secretly using the money to keep it silent. So how in the hell you gonna make it look like Black Lives Matter is some existential, separate, unique institution when that corruption exists all throughout America's institutions?
Okay, so I guess you're arguing that corruption doesn't matter because other people are corrupt.
Of course it matters.
I don't
but
disagree.
you want to make me like black folks are the only corrupt people in America.
I wasn't talking generally about black folks. I was talking about the
You want to
leadership.
highlight them and then talk about how black people suffer.
I highlighted the leadership of Black Lives Matter because we're literally sitting here talking about that movement getting streets painted in New York for $7 million that just disappeared.
And they pimp black people, you said, to get that money. The Red Cross did the same thing.
Okay, I don't disagree.
The United Way did the same thing.
But
when the people in New Orleans through Hurricane Katrina, they went through all that suffering, and billions came in from all over the world, and the United Way and the Red Cross were all accused of taking that money, paying high administrative fees to those in the front offices, but not helping the people of Katrina.
Well, one, I don't think the United Way's administrative fees are very high, but when they start painting roads for these corrupt organizations, and they want them to take it down, I'm not going to be crying about it.
But they were not painting the road for an organization. They put that in the road for a level of black male, female, and child consciousness.
No, they were literally
to say to the world that Black Lives matter, because in this country, for hundreds of years, our lives did not matter.
That took that money and bought a bunch of mansions all over the country, right? And said these are like think spaces or some sort of nonsense, right? And they used other people's deaths, violent, brutal deaths at the hands of the police to raise, well, you said, I thought it was hundreds of millions. You said billions of dollars.
It was up to $1 billion allegedly.
Right? And it just went everywhere other than helping black people. It went everywhere.
But that's the American way, unfortunately.
Well, okay, but we should be pissed off. Black people should be mad at Black Lives Matter.
Remember when all these
because they got ripped off.
But wait a minute. Remember when all these white Christian pastors, when these white Christian organizations went to Africa and was claiming to feed all these starving African children, donate money to us for the starving kids of Africa, and come to find out that damn kids didn't even get 10% of the donations.
Well, look at the Clintons. Look at Haiti.
Yeah, so we got to talk now, man.
But I'm all for it. for accountability and where that money goes. In fact, that's what I think Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing with the Doge effort. But right now we're talking about
I don't
the Black
disagree
Lives
with
Matter
everything
money.
Elon is doing.
Would you?
Some of what
would you
Elon is
rather-
doing is on point,
Oh, I don't
and
even
it
like
needs
either
to
of
be
them,
done.
But they're doing something important where the government needs to stop wasting money. But I think it was $7.2 million spent to paint a damn road, Quanell?
Now, you and I both know.
Come on.
But I said it. We don't need a road. I said that. We don't need that road.
Okay.
We need the level of consciousness and black love in the black
Do you know
community
what the
that
public
values
schools-
black life.
Do you know what the public schools are like in Washington, D.C.?
All over America.
But let's talk.
They like that all over
Let's
America.
talk about D.C. because D.C. spent the $7.2 million instead of spending it on kids that go to hellholes, falling apart schools that aren't safe. Right? Everybody that's got any money lives out in the suburbs or puts their kids in private school, right? And it's a poor black child. And let me make no mistake, the Republican Party as a whole doesn't care much for the suffering of big city African people of color.
Does the Department of Education care?
No, absolutely not.
They doing the same thing.
Right, but here's the thing. Okay, so now you're flipping back
No,
to
you
a
want to
Trumper.
point out the black leadership of D.C. not spending that money on black students who can use it. Well, guess what? The Department of Education
top
is
shelf.
just as guilty
Hey, look,
with
you're right.
all these failing public schools in America and the most underserved have been black children.
Top shelf whataboutism, but hey, we're talking about this road painting, right? And yes, there are other parts of our government, all typically led by Democrats, that squander money. But of course, when the Republicans get involved and they just find a way to send all the money to their crony capitalists, right? It's all corrupt, it's all crap. Right, but as Americans, as people on TV, when we're talking about a subject, I know you want to point the finger everywhere else, right?
No, I'm pointing out facts.
No, I'm pointing out facts. And the fact is, we need to stop this performative politics nonsense. We need to stop squandering millions of dollars on painting roads, and we need to start spending money on actually helping those that are struggling.
I disagree with that. I believe that we should continue using Americans' tax dollars to fix some of these raggedy-ass roads in America.
That's not what they did.
Some of these roads are so
They
raggedy,
painted
it's
a road.
pathetic. And some of these bridges that are collapsing
I
and
don't
falling in on
disagree.
itself, take some of that money from Ukraine that you've been spending and rebuild America's infrastructure.
Well, again, I don't
I'm cool with that.
Okay, so you'll agree with me now. It took a long time to get here. That $7.2 million should have been spent on making roads better or making schools better,
I
and
would
not
say
on
this.
a stupid
That
performative nonsense.
That $7.2 million should have been put to the voters. Do you mind if we do this in your name with your money, or would you like us to allocate that $7.2 million somewhere else?
Don't you think?
Let the people have a choice.
Don't you think we have better things to spend our money on than performative nonsense? We spend.
Then symbolism in the road, yes.
Be your own boss, be your entrepreneur, be a hustler, the right hustler. Stay out of jail, don't do nothing wrong, don't kill nobody, and damn sure don't kill yourself, don't take your life, and don't be no damn or no. Don't do that. Don't be that. That's wrong. Don't do that. A man and a woman can do anything together, but baby, the same sex, that's good. And if you take your life, that's up, you in hell burning for eternity. I'm telling you, that's where you are. That's where you gonna be. You ain't no damn coming back, and ain't nothing you can do to bring back. So go on about your damn business, do what you want to do, but don't do it to me. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be careful, hell, if you gotta go buy you a damn gears older from stores, start shit, do yourself, fix yourself. It's safe. It's safe. You know it's safe. You ain't gotta worry about catching it. Marry me and messing around, bring on to the wives and everything in the boyfriend too. Sticking in the damn body and women spreading their damn legs and doing whatever they want to damn do. Don't do that. Don't trust. They'll tell you a damn lie. You can't keep up with them 24/7. You got to know and feel and know what they're damn doing, because they'll do it, because Lord knows they do it.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
So, Quanell, that was an Instagram post from Gay Magazine, which was actually a repost from a TikTok video of an elderly woman, African-American woman, who is got terminal cancer and is in hospice, and her family was videoing her speaking her mind, She had some very strident things to say about her. She was talking to her family members about if they possibly decided or lived in a lifestyle of the LGBT community. She had some very strong words, and there's been a lot of backlash directed at this lady as a result of her saying some particularly horrifying things. I would say that we have to look at it through a couple of lenses. One, I think to apply any sort of math to someone who is on the very last stages of their life, you have to think about, how this has impacted her mentally and physically, and But secondly, this is an elderly woman who was raised during a different time, who was raised, it sounds like, in a church that told her that being gay was a mortal sin and was evil. And I think we have to do that because some of the comments about her have been horrible, right? They've been absolutely, there's no other way to characterize it. She said some mean things, and some people responded, as social media likes to do with people's Twitter fingers, said a lot of other mean things. And I think it's unfair for everybody, and I wish her family members hadn't put this video up.
But Charles, she appeared to be a very elderly woman who was born and raised and reared in a different time with different societal norms and societal beliefs. And so in new present generation to say that this elderly woman should speak the new societal norms of today and today's new generation of thinkers and youth and young people is wrong. She's dying of cancer. She does not have time for political correctness. She's dying of cancer. She's advising her loved ones and family members, and she's backing it up really from biblical beliefs and Bible and Christian faith beliefs. So she might have been a little raw. She might have been just a lot of really straight up and was black coffee, no sugar, no cream with it. But guess what? She's on her deathbed in hospice. She ain't got time about nobody's feelings.
Okay, well,
she ain't got time about who cares about what she's saying. She don't care about all of that. She died.
But let's throw a little curveball at you. You're talking about how she's dying and she's elderly and she was raised, and I do think that the hate mongering that came from her came from a organic space. I think she was taught it at a very young age. But let's say this
taught it where though?
Okay, both in the home and in the church, probably.
So you say the church was teaching hate?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the Bible teaches hate.
I think if people use the Bible as a vehicle for that kind of hatred that she directed to the gay community, absolutely, somebody's not teaching the word.
But she spoke about adultery too.
Hold on.
Men committing adultery, boyfriends cheating on their girlfriends, and she even suggested that before women go and cheat, buy you a dildo. Now, Grandmama, I did not know you know nothing about no dildo, Grandmama.
Okay, hold on.
But Grandmama say, don't go and cheat to the women of her family. You go buy you a dildo and say, please yourself. Now, the fact that she knew about the dildo, now that's a whole nother discussion.
Okay,
Grandmama knew about that.
They actually have discovered sex toys from, I think, 10,000 BE.
And where were they at?
Or CE, I guess.
Must have been in Rome somewhere.
Yeah, probably with us whites.
Europeans.
But here's the thing. What if this was an old white lady and her hatred was directed at black people? Would you have such a forgiving...
But she was talking about Christian biblical beliefs.
Okay.
And she was advising her family based on those beliefs.
Okay.
This was not about race. This was about somebody's sexual choice. People cannot
what
choose.
If it was about race?
People can't choose what race they're born, but you choose your sexual orientation.
There was plenty of biblical argument made, I think a bastardization of the Old Testament, but that said that mixed race marriages, miscegenation as it was referred when it was outlawed, was downstream from the Bible, right? They found
until black people were allowed to start reading that Bible with real true freedom.
Here's my question.
Then we discovered them was lies in the Bible.
Okay, but let's say this was an old white lady saying, don't lay down with the black man, don't do this, don't do
But
that.
that's based on race. That's not biblical.
Okay, but okay. First of all,
but
if you look at the New Testament,
homosexuality is clear in the Bible.
no,
let's be straight
not.
up. It's clear.
Look, if
I
you look
can
at
tell
Leviticus,
you a number of scriptures.
there's all
where
kind
it's
of
an
scriptures you're
abomination.
violating.
It's an abomination to lay with another man.
Okay.
If Moses was told by God, whomsoever you find a man lying with another man, as a man should lie with his wife, it is a sin.
On all those Nikes that you got on.
Yes, it is.
You got rubber, you got leather, you got two types of fabric.
I believe I do.
If you look at Leviticus,
I believe I do.
That's
Leviticus is the Hebrew word for the law.
Okay. And it would proceed. You're committing to sin by wearing those shoes.
That's not exactly what it says.
Oh, yes, it is.
It says a certain type of fabric that's strictly worn for the purpose of beautification is a sin.
Okay, so you didn't get them Nikes because they were beautiful. You ain't trying to stunt in here.
It looked better than what you
ain't trying to shine.
It looked better than what you wearing.
Okay, for the
But anyway,
record,
but let me
he
back
is
to what I'm
saying
saying.
his busted cheap Nikes look better than Jordan 1s.
Now,
all
let's
right?
say, and you know you white men can't jump. But listen, let's make it clear. This old lady.
Could you ever even grab the net? What are you, 5'6"?
No, I take that back.
Could you even talk about white men
A white
can't
guy
jump?
just won a dunk contest in an All-Star game. You sure right? I'll stand corrected on that one.
Look, this
But
little
black
chocolate
lady,
Oompa Loompa
but this
here
old black
is
lady
talking about white
has
men.
a
I'll
right
go,
to speak
I'll
her
go
mind.
out there and dunk on you
But
right
this
now, Cornell.
old black
I'll
lady
dunk on
has
you
a
right
right
now.
to speak her mind.
Everyone
She's
has a right to
old.
speak her mind.
She's
But the
dying
reason
of
you're not
cancer,
hating on it
and she ain't
is
got
'cause she
time
ain't
for
talking
political
about black
correctness.
people.
She ain't got
And your
time for
opinion-
political correctness, man.
Your opinion on political correctness
And
is
she
only
backed up.
is
And she backed
content-
up what
is
she was
not
saying
content.
from biblical beliefs.
Oh my Lord! It was just hate. She was just spewing hate. And while I don't think
Well,
we
the
should
Bible
criticize
says God
her,
hates and
I don't
loves.
think we should applaud it
And
either.
the Bible says hate what God hates.
Okay. So you think it's okay to hate gay people?
I believe it is okay to hate what God hates.
Okay, so you think it's okay to hate gay people?
I believe it's okay to hate what God hates.
Okay.
God don't hate gay people.
Y'all notice.
God don't
y'all
hate
notice
gay
he
people.
ain't answering
You
the
know
question.
what God does? He says, love the sinner, but hate the sin.
That is a big.
That's what
that's
you
a
do.
big cop
You
out,
love
Cornell.
the sinner, but you hate
Yeah,
the
keep
sin.
preaching hate.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.